And a very good Sunday morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of this world. Hey, thank you very much for joining us for today's edition of Sundays with George Grant. I'm he, and today happens to be the 8th day of July, 28th day of July. What happened to the other 20 days? Yeah, the 28th day of July. Folks, can you believe it? We're just about to complete month number 7 already. And this morning, it's so-so morning out there. We have very cloudy skies, had some very light showers, at least here in St. George. Light showers, light, overnight and again this morning. But I'll tell you, just a few minutes ago, I took a look out there towards the east, and I think I did see some blue skies. So maybe, just maybe, it's going to clear up, okay? Overnight, I did take a look at the satellite picture, and again, early this morning, and there was a little blob of stuff just over us. But I guess that's moving away now, and so, yeah, you'll probably be able to get out to the beach and get your suntan this weekend. Huh? Thanks again for joining us. Now, Peter Bishop is there already this morning, saying good morning from Long Island, and he says, "You're back to the headphone?" Yeah. Temporarily. Alana Morris Van Tessel. Hello there, Alana. Saying long time no see ya. Well, I'm saying the same thing, Alana. It's been a little while, but we're glad that you're back. Thank you so much for joining us. Mickaman Alexander saying good morning. And where's Mickaman this morning? Saying good morning and sending God's blessings to everybody. Chester Simon says, Grenada Promotions is watching from Zurich in Switzerland, Yemen. And he's sending greetings to everybody. So thanks a lot for joining us, Chester. Alana says, blessed rising and happy Sunday, everyone. Kipling saying good morning. And Kipling's doing his job, man. Reminding you guys to share the live, so that others can learn. Well, boy, let me tell you, thanks, Kippy, because I think there's going to be a lot to be learned this morning. There has been a lot of talk about, the fact that with all that's going on in this country, we really haven't been hearing a whole lot from the trades unions, the business community, and of course, the churches. Well, I'm counting myself fortunate because over the past few days, I've been able to persuade 2 of the 3 I just mentioned to break their silence, come out and talk with us this morning. And I am so happy about that. I am so happy. Because you folks have been asking, where them people? How come we're not hearing from them? Well, listen to the rundown that I'm going to, bring to you right now. And you'll see who's going to be coming and who is still absent. So, let's get down to brass tacks, as they say. By the way, hold on a sec here. Dennis, hello, good morning, Dennis. Dennis saying good morning, George and class. It's bucketing down at the moment here in Carriacou. Oh, well, you can keep your bucket of rain up there, Dennis, because I just told these people, and they're going to the beach later on this afternoon. Huh? Yeah, I did hear that we may have been receiving some showers this morning. I didn't get that from the Met Office, but I got it from NADMA that we were supposed to have a lot of rain overnight and throughout the day. Well, they send that stuff up to Carriacou. So Dennis, you and John and everybody else in Carriacou can enjoy the rain. Let's get into today's rundown. The Buzz, as always, where we do have a reading from the Holy Scriptures. And yeah, she's back, she's back, she's back. Little Angel, we're going to be hearing from her this morning. Then our two regular editorials. The first, the Grenada Advocate, and that one comes to you from their editorial this past week. It is captioned, Plan Ahead to Protect Against Heat Waves. Boy, did you guys notice how hot that... I've been reluctant to leave this apartment because it is so darn hot outside. This morning, not too bad, but I guess that's to be expected because we've been having a little bit of rain here. But man, oh man, oh man, it's been hot here in Grenada. And in that case, I think you'd better pay special attention to the editorial, which we're going to share with you from the Advocate. You know, ever since I came back to this country, 30-something years ago, I discovered that Grenadians don't usually complain about heat because they're so used to it. And I figured that, you know, it's probably because I had been away for so long, I became declimatized, if you will. Well, let me tell you, sir, as you walk the streets of St. George's, you hear people complaining big time about the heat out there. Big, big time. So, yeah, you know it's hot. The second editorial comes to you from the New Today. Guess what? I give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. Cellgate scandal. Some people call it Cellgate, some call it Phonegate, some call it Cellphonegate scandal. That's the common word there, scandal. That's what the New Today talks about this week. We'll get to those right after this week's edition of The Buzz. Then, my dear friends, our interview. Boy, am I ever looking forward to this one. The Making of Grenada and a Grenadian Diaspora. That's the way it's been presented to me. Folks, there's a lecture coming up this week. Actually, 2 of them. One at Norton Hall, and I think one is going to be held out there in Ledee. And the lady who is going to be delivering the lecture is Professor Merle Collins. Professor Collins is with the College of Arts and Humanities in Maryland. And this is a lady, you know, I have heard so much about this lady over the years, but I can't say that we have ever met face to face. And so Georgie Porgy is looking forward to meeting Merle Collins this morning. And that should happen at about 9:45 or so this morning, about 36 minutes or so from now, all right? She's going to be joined by a gentleman by the name of Peter Antoine, who is with the Institute for People's Enlightenment. And Mr. Antoine and his institute are the people who are apparently putting on these 2 lectures. And so they're about to tell you, or will be about to tell you, about the content of these lectures. And so we're looking forward to that. Then we get down to our features, huh? Yeah. Trades Union Council responds to Cellphonegate. Again, I have to tell you just how happy I am to hear from these folks this morning. We have the president of the Grenada Trades Union Council, a gentleman who's been with us several times before, and somebody I really enjoyed talking with. His name is Andre Lewis. And Andre should be in here this morning at about 10:30 or so, okay? Looking forward to that. And I have asked them, to let us have the views of the TUC on the Cellgate thing. It's true that things just have a way of blowing away here in Grenada, bye, 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 for a couple of days, and then bingo, it's all gone. Well, I don't know how quickly this one's going to blow away because people are irate. They're irate. And things keep popping up. So we'll hear how the Trades Union Council feels about that situation this morning. Then, right after we speak with Andre, we're also going to have a chat with another gentleman who has been with us over the years, but I haven't seen him in quite a little while. I'm referring to the president, the current president of the Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce, my good friend, Mr. Lester Andall. Yes, sirree. He is going to be telling us, sure, he's going to be sharing his views, the Chamber's reaction to Cellgate, but very importantly as well, he's going to try and tell us a little bit more about the role of the Chamber. When I spoke with him yesterday, he seems to be of the opinion that a lot of people seem to have some misconceptions about the Chamber. So I said, since you're going to be here with us this morning, take some time and explain to folks what the Chamber is and what it isn't. So you can look forward to that this morning. Okay, so that's your rundown. Boy, that's a chock-a-block rundown. We're going to be busy for the next 2 hours and 47 minutes or so. Yeah, and I am delighted that you're with me on this cloudy Sunday morning. Let me get back here for just a minute to social media. And I see that Donna Joseph is saying, good morning, Gigi. Hi there, Donna. And good morning, Gigi and crew from Dependency Number 1. You know what Dependency Number 1 is, Carriacou. And that's old John. Hello, John. Hey, thanks for those hilarious emails you've been sending me. John always finds humor on the internet to share. And believe me, there's a lot of stuff out there. A lot. Okay, so, by the way, today is the 28th day of July. The hurricane season began on the 1st of June. So a month and 28 days, hey, let's round it off. Let's say 2 months into the hurricane season. I don't know if you got it. I certainly have not yet received a list of shelters from the people who keep telling us, be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. And if too much rainfall, we don't know where to go and shelter. Okay? Just wanted to make that clear to you. Jude Francis is saying good morning. And so is Louise Nack Francois. Hello, Louise and Jude. Louise is saying, good morning, George. What is the Institute of People Enlightenment? You're going to find out in just a wee bit, my girl. Is it a closed group? Been in Grenada some time now, never heard of it. Who are their members? How do they recruit members? I'm very interested. Huh, okay, Louise. I'll mention that to the gentleman when he gets here. I understand he's going to be here pretty soon. Let's see here. Oh, Jackie O. Hello there, Jackie O. She's saying good morning and a happy Sunday to everybody. John here says, you heard of Hunt the Thumble? Yes, I have. He said, now it's Hunt the Shelter. See, I wasn't kidding when I told you this guy has a sense of humor. I could just see him sitting there chuckling now. Yeah. Bernard Gilbert's also chiming in this morning. Claude Putnam, hello there, Claude. Claude, just George would be fine. And Donna Joseph says, Gigi, no one knows where the list of shelters is at the moment. The powers that be may be waiting on the last minute to scramble something. One can only assume that, girl. One can only assume that. You know, sometimes people say that God is a Grenadian. Yeah, boy, he's being patient with us. He's being patient with us. We're heading into August. That's when things usually start heating up and peak in September. My dear friends, are we going to wait until we hear Hurricane so is halfway across the Atlantic, so get your butt in gear and decide where you're going to stay? Is that what we're waiting for? Is it? And, you know, based on what Donna is saying here, she says, no one knows where the list of shelters is. So it's not just me. You know, I thought it might be just me because sometimes people might send stuff to other media houses, but not to George Grant or Grenada Broadcast. Well, apparently, based on what Donna is saying here, she hasn't seen a list of shelters. So, hey. Donna, I hope you're wrong, girl. I hope you're wrong. For the good of our people, we have been through so much in this place. And to be treated this way by those we pay to manage our affairs hurts. It hurts. Uh-oh, look at who's here. Another one in Switzerland. Actually, hold on a minute. She's probably not in Switzerland. I don't remember where, but I think she did send me a note this past week saying that she was leaving Switzerland on vacation, going on a trip somewhere, and I don't remember exactly where, but Nestor Rogue Aberdeen is just checking in here, waving. Nesta, I don't know where you are, girl, but I know that you're a long way from Grenada. Whether you're back in Switzerland, I don't know, or wherever it is you told me that you were headed. Good to see you. Thank you so much. All right, folks, break time, and then we'll come back with the buzz.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and the Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
Welcome
Mr. Watts, wait. Why are you removing my sign?
Sorry, Larry, but you can't put the sign on an electricity pole. That is an accident waiting to happen.
Mr. Watts, man, I just finished this new house. I need to put up a sign so that people would know that the apartment is for rent. Why can't I put my sign on the pole?
Larry, you should know better. Think about it. Nails, staples, glue, and signs make it difficult for linesmen to quickly and safely climb poles, and it can delay their response time when there is an emergency. These objects can prevent linesmen responding as quickly as they should in an emergency.
You know, I've never thought about those things. But you're absolutely right.
On top of that, Larry, your sign was covering the pole identification number. What if someone needed to report a fault? The pole number tells GRENLEC exactly where the problem is and allows them to respond faster.
Whoa, I really didn't consider all these things, you know. Come, let me help you take this down.
Remember, be safe, be smart. No more signs, banners, or posters on electricity poles.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, there goes our first break. And just before I get into today's edition of The Buzz, there's a note here from Donna Joseph. Donna says, GG, since sometime last month, the minister with responsibilities for NEDBA, Mr. Garraway, was on TV talking about soon that list would be updated. But up till now, me ain't hear from him again on that important matter. I wish someone can correct me or point me to an article in the print media where I can see it with my eyes, where that update was given about shelters. Donna, call your friends and, you guys plan among yourselves, who's going to try and accommodate who in the event that we have a hurricane come our way, okay? Please. We have to take it upon ourselves. Okay. Kipling says, don't worry. We have to go through the electoral list to know who to tell where the shelters are just in time. Mickaman Alexander says, George, the last thing I heard about the shelters is that those engineers who have to visit those buildings to declare them worthy, are worthy or not, are busy with the new project, so time does not permit. Ah, I see. So providing the Grenadian people with a list of shelters to save their butts in the event of a hurricane, it's not a priority. I get it. I hope you're wrong, Mickaman. I really hope you're wrong. Anyhow, Anthony says, let us hope they don't wait too long and then scramble to put a list of shelters that need sheltering. Yeah, Anthony, yeah. Folks, let's just ask God to help us. Please. All right, let's get into this week's edition of The Buzz, and we're going to begin with a reading from the Holy Scriptures. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning, as in the pains of childbirth, right up to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for our adoption to sonship, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we are saved. But hope that is seen is no hope at all. Who hopes for what they already have? But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait patiently. That reading, Pilgrims, comes to you from Romans chapter 8, verses 18 to 25. Now, here she comes, little angel. Little angel writes to us this week. Once again, Grenadians are in search of truth and justice. This time, they can only hope that they will be provided with information surrounding the well-publicized Cellphonegate scandal, and that the law will soon take its course. Based on the words and actions of the individual who continues to be at large, it seems that he has been in control from the beginning to end. And if he hasn't acquired it himself, authority must have been given on him, must have been bestowed on him to act as judge, jury, and executioner in this case. From all indications, wrong has been done to ordinary people. Yet, the self-admitting talk show host continues to walk around freely and was able to state on public radio that nothing will be done to end up costing the Grenada taxpayers a single cent, when he and the nation are aware that thousands of dollars have already been spent. It could never be right to be paying astronomical amounts of cell phone bills from the nation's purse, which have no funds to pay public workers' pension, improve health care, education, and roads in Grenada. Worse yet, this can prove to be a case of organized corruption, misappropriation, or embezzlement, a well-known financial crime. It took at least 3 years to expose this particular misdemeanor, and it is left to be seen how much more is yet to be exposed, especially in light of recent utterances by the Grenadian Prime Minister at a meeting in Montreal. At this meeting, the Prime Minister took liberty to remind the Grenadian public servants of their rights to stop wrongdoing, and that they should not be afraid to expose ministers, including the Prime Minister. The question is, which public servant will be the first to challenge these words of the Right Honorable Prime Minister? Grenadians know too well of the victimization that will be sure to follow if they ever attempt to report or oppose wrongdoing. And as a result, they fail to realize the benefit in doing what is right. Signed, Little Angel. All right. Thank you, Little Angel. Thank you, Little Angel. Let's see here. Donna Joseph says, Gigi, I'm already preparing my downstairs to accommodate my family. Mia waiting on Nadma and Mr. Garway and his imaginary engineers. Smart move, girl, and I hope others out there who are listening and watching right now follow suit. Follow suit. Louise Nyack Francois says, where is the fraud squad? I guess she's referring to that piece we just read there from Little Angel. Louise, you're not the only one asking, girl. And Osmond Lewis is checking in and saying good morning. All right. Okay, my dear friends, it's now 9:32. Let's take a little break and we'll come back with the editorial from the Grenada Advocate.
Easy living should be convenient. With GRENLEC, it is. Dial 237 for any GRENLEC department, or for customer service, streetlight outages, or if it's unsafe to trim a tree near a power line. For streetlights and service issues, please note the pole number. From just about anywhere, you can also check your bill balance and other account information. Just keep your GRENLEC access number handy. Dial 237 for GRENLEC. It's that easy. GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Studying too hard about back to school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
Here he is. Yes, sirree, I'm still here. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on this cloudy Sunday morning. I don't know if it's still raining out there, but like I said, looked like it was in the process of clearing up, but keep your pinkies crossed, right? All right. Now, where are we? Lawrence Kruthoff is saying, I'm watching and listening. Keep up the good works. Yeah, man, we're trying. All right. My dear friends, let's get into two editorials. The first from the Grenada Advocate, which is captioned, Plan Ahead to Protect Against Heat Waves. The Pan American Health Organization and the World Health Organization is at present urging countries in the region to be prepared for possible impending heat waves due to the impact that these could have on people's health, including risk of death. Heat waves have been experienced in Europe to date, and predictions are that this phenomenon will likely hit various parts of the Americas as well. According to PAHO and the WHO, and I quote, during the Southern Hemisphere summer of 2018-2019, 7 countries in the Americas, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Mexico, Paraguay, Peru, and Uruguay, were affected by heat waves, a phenomenon never seen before in the region. The heat waves that have had the greatest impact since 2000 were the ones in Brazil in 2010, which caused the death of 737 people, and the one in Argentina in the summer of 2013-2014, which caused 1,877 deaths and left 800,000 people with no power, increasing heat stress in that population. Their account goes on to note that according to health authorities in the United States, heat waves are a natural phenomenon that cause the highest number of deaths in that country. Furthermore, weather forecasts for North America, Central America, and now the Caribbean predict heat waves during the summer of 2019. Neighboring country Barbados recently announced its plan to address the impending danger of life-threatening heat waves, which are currently facing the region. That island's Minister of Health and Wellness, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostick, has been quoted as stating that the matter will be up for discussion shortly and will be made a priority. Given that PAHO and the WHO advocate having contingency plans put in place to address the matter of heat waves, this is a plus for Barbados, since we must take a proactive approach rather than a reactionary one, where this potentially dangerous and life-altering matter is concerned. PAHO has already developed a guide to help countries in the region formulate contingency plans to address these heat waves, and it will do us good to pay attention to such a guide, which provides recommendations that the health sector and meteorological agencies can implement to prepare for and better respond to such a threat. In this way, we can better prevent the adverse effects of heat waves and have a set response in place for treating those who may be affected over the course of time. The document stresses that heat wave contingency plans should be able to determine the extent of the threat with alert activation procedures, a description of roles and functions, and intra and interagency coordination mechanisms. It also highlights that countries should strengthen the epidemiological surveillance of heat-related morbidity and mortality, the capacity of health services, and enhance the actions of local authorities, the media, and communities in terms of interagency response measures, prevention measures, and self-care. Without a doubt, the times and seasons are changing, and we are seeing a number of new hazards and climatic threats which could impact on us. But we have been forewarned, and to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So let's get started with our contingency planning so we can be better prepared for these heat waves. That, Pilgrims, is the text of the editorial which appeared in this past Wednesday's edition of the Grenada Advocate. Okay, break time, and we'll come back with the new today.
GRENLEC Community Partnership Initiative.
This is not the first time that GRENLEC, through the GCPI, has responded positively to TAMCC, and we are always appreciative for the support. TAMCC, like the GCPI, is geared to service the community. As a college, we cannot accomplish our mission of fostering Grenada's development through education without meaningful partnerships from other community members. GRENLEC has been a leader in this regard.
GRENADIAN, energizing our community.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
Alrighty, folks, it's now 18 minutes away from the hour. Here comes the editorial which appeared in Friday's edition of The New Today. It is captioned, Cellphonegate Scandal. The New Today is particularly concerned with a statement made last week, Tuesday, by Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, that government has started an investigation into what is now called, in the country, the Cellphonegate affair. Press Secretary Philomena Robinson did not give details about the inquiry which is currently being undertaken and the composition of the members of the investigating team and its mandate. However, this newspaper is calling on government to immediately halt this investigation and to allow an independent body to take charge of the proceedings and for there to be transparency in the probe. How can the government investigate its own when even members of the Cabinet of Ministers might be implicated in Cellphonegate? This newspaper takes the view that the first bit of deception on this issue came from the Prime Minister himself when he told Grenadians in Canada that it was he who uncovered the wrongdoings with the abuse of the government's cell phones. All honest and truthful Grenadians will know differently, and that it was Mr. Kim Jones who broke the news to the public on one of his early morning radio programs. If the Prime Minister was the first to discover the Cellphonegate scandal, then it begs the question, what did he do with the information that was in his possession? The New Today is firmly of the opinion that only an independent body outside of the ambit and direct control of government and the Cabinet of Ministers should undertake a proper and thorough investigation into the issue that is now of national concern and which has rocked the nation. This attempt to peddle to the nation that those who benefited illegally from using the government's cell phone in their possession would be asked to pay back the money is just an attempt to sidetrack from the real issue. The taxpayers of the country are fully entitled to know how much of their money was used to pay the cell phone bill of the NNP's chief political propagandist, Sheldon Scott, in the past 3 years. It has been established that the bill was $70,000 for 3 months this year alone, April to June. So if the trajectory is correct, then Mr. Scott's bill was somewhere in the vicinity of $828,000 during the 2016 to 2019 period. Almost $1 million. If the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Public Utilities is correct in stating that there was supposed to be a cap of 11,000 EC dollars per month for the service from Digicel, and the monthly bill reached an average of $125,000, then it meant that government had spent $4.1 million extra in paying the telecommunications provider over the last 3 years. Can anyone imagine what $4.1 million could have done to health care in Grenada, including the patients who are in need of regular dialysis treatment, as well as the purchase of medication and bandages at the hospitals and health centers around the island? This issue of Cellphonegate touches at the heart of good governance under the Mitchell-led administration and seriously questions the boast that the IMF is pleased with the running of Grenada under the NNP watch. How come the PS in the ministry, her accounting officers, and the line minister, Gregory Bowen, did not pick up on this wanton abuse of the agreement signed with Digicel over the years? Isn't Minister Bowen the leader of government business in the lower house of Parliament and was in good position to get first-hand information on the spending of the budget under his many portfolios? This investigation should not be conducted by the government or its agents, since some of the cabinet ministers are directly involved in the abuse of the system and the cap. A case in point is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, whose bill for just 3 months alone was around $18,000. Can the said minister justify these excessively high bills every month on his government-paid mobile phone? What is the level of resources mobilized by the foreign minister to justify these high bills? Was someone in Digicel getting some kind of kickback to turn a blind eye on the massive breach of the contract with government? The country should reject any attempt by government to investigate the Cellphonegate scandal all on its own and stay away from setting up a proper and independent committee to probe into the issue. This government is still refusing to tell the nation how did PM Mitchell leave the island a few weeks ago, but was only prepared to give information on how he came back into Grenada on JetBlue after a particular episode. How can anyone trust the Mitchell-led administration to deal with this issue in a sincere manner when so many of its own are deeply involved and the Cellphonegate scandal. That, Pilgrims, is the editorial which appeared in this past week's edition of the New Today. All right, let me just get back here to Facebook for just a minute. Good morning. Let's see who's here and who today. Jackie O saying good morning to Peter. Ernesto Jose says, good morning, Mr. G and Pilgrims. Welcome to Education Sunday, a platform with a difference. Please share the program so others can be a part. Let's see here. Paley Darbo is saying good morning. Hi there, Deborah. Good morning to you and your little grands. And Ryan Jabon is saying good morning from the Sunshine State of Florida. Sunny, baby blue skies, and plenty of glare. Ryan says he skipped church this morning for me. Ryan, shouldn't do that, Ryan. I do appreciate it, though, and God will bless you. He knows where your heart is. Erica Mitchell is saying good morning. Fitzroy Adams is also saying good morning. Okay, Pilgrims, take a little break here, and then we're going to come on back with our first guest. I'm a little bit befuddled this morning because I've just been dropped a bomb, and we'll get to that in a wee bit.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply departments and Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Mr. Watts, wait. Why are you removing my sign?
Sorry, Larry, but you can't put the sign on an electricity pole. That is an accident waiting to happen.
Mr. Watts, man, I just finished this new house. I need to put up a sign so that people would know that the apartment is for rent. Why can't I put my sign on the pole?
Larry, you should know better. Think about it. Nails, staples, glue, and signs make it difficult for linesmen to quickly and safely climb poles, and it can delay their response time when there is an emergency. These objects can prevent linesmen responding as quickly as they should in an emergency.
You know, I've never thought about those things, but you're absolutely right.
On top of that, Larry, your sign was covering the pole identification number. What if someone needed to report a fault? The pole number tells GRENLEC exactly where the problem is and allows them to respond faster.
Whoa, I really didn't consider all these things, you know. Come, let me help you take this down.
Remember, be safe, be smart. No more signs, banners, or posters on electricity poles.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
Alrighty, folks, we are back, and let me say good morning and welcome to Yashan Tafari, saying hello from St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Folks, take a look at your monitor there, and the person you're looking at is not Merle Collins. I can tell you, that ain't no Merle Collins. That gentleman is Mr. Peter Antoine, who is with an institute, which you're going to find out about in just a wee bit. I mentioned to you at the top of the program this morning how pumped up I was, looking forward to finally, after all these years of hearing about this lady, meeting Professor Merle Collins, who's in Grenada, to deliver a couple of lectures this coming week. But just a few moments ago, I was advised that she's not going to be in-house with us. However, hold on a sec, however, she is on the phone with me. Merle Collins, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
morning. Sorry I can't be there. It's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Well, at least you are in spirit with us.
Definitely.
Professor, thank you so much for coming on the program. You may have heard me say just how much I was looking forward to meeting you, because I've been hearing quite a bit about you. You do have quite a reputation as a professor. And I want you to begin this morning, and by the way, just let me read a brief intro here on Merle Collins. She's a professor at the College of Arts and Humanities in Maryland, where she has taught for more than 2 decades. The university recently named her a 2018 Distinguished Scholar Teacher in recognition of her exceptional scholarship and teaching. She completed a PhD at the London School of Economics in 1990, an MA and certificate in translation, Spanish to English, at Georgetown University in the United States, and that was back in 1980, and a BA at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies, way back in 1972. Professor Collins is a writer of fiction, poetry, creative nonfiction, and critical essays. Her most recent essay is titled Cultural Expression and the Grenada Revolution, Understanding Through Poetry. And that was published back in 2016. Now, Professor Collins, like I said, I don't think we've never met, have we?
No, I don't think so. I kept wondering that myself. But it's a great pleasure. I have also heard a lot about you, of course.
Well, thank you very much. I'll tell you, even though we haven't met, I know so many people out there, especially on this visit of yours. There are a lot of people who have known about you and speak very, very highly of you. Now, I want to find, you're going to be lecturing about the mother of a gentleman we all know, Malcolm X. First, I want you to give us a brief narrative about Malcolm X. And how did he arrive at the name Malcolm X?
Okay, well, let me just talk a little bit. Perhaps I'd better talk about how I came to the story of his mother through him.
Mm-hmm.
Because Malcolm X was Malcolm Little. And I came to the story of his mother, Helen Louise Langdon Little, in a variety of ways, but particularly after reading his autobiography. I was fascinated by the figure of his mother, who was not mentioned very often in the work, but she stood out to me because he spoke of her as a woman from Grenada in the British Caribbean. So here was this man who was Malcolm Little. He, after years of his own kinds of search for a sense of himself, he decides to convert to Islam, takes on the name X, and that mention of his mother from Grenada in the British Caribbean made me think of the colonial context.
Uh-huh.
So I researched more and I focused on her primary education at Holy Innocent School, and that's what she had, a primary school education. She got to Standard 5 in the primary school at Holy Innocents. So thinking of that period, she was born in 1896, so thinking of 1908, 1909, a fifth standard education was good. U.S. records say a fifth grade education, and I translate that to the colonial fifth standard. And the school was Holy Innocents, and her son Wilfred also wrote and spoke about how his mother helped them, her children, to negotiate race and general condescension in the Michigan school system. So I've given you a long answer there for that, brief question at the beginning. But I find myself not thinking of Malcolm without his mother. You know, that Grenada Caribbean colonial context to me was so important in his shaping and in the shaping of his siblings.
Well, I think your answer got us going anyway, because my next question was going to be, what is it about Louise Langdon Norton Little that aroused your curiosity? Obviously, something sparked that interest.
Yes, absolutely. And as I said, that specific mention of where his mother was from, and then also her other son, her oldest son, Wilfred, who was born in 1920, talks about the way his mother taught them about Marisho. She always spoke to them about black people whom she said had a sense of themselves, told them that not everything that they saw around them in Michigan and the kinds of attitudes they were getting as young black children in Michigan, this was not the word. And she boasted, in fact, that's the word that Wilfred Little used. He says that she boasted about her countryman, Marisho. And of course, that had me fascinated. And I realized that she made them read, he says, from the West Indian and explain the world to them, explain the Caribbean to them through her reading of the West Indian. Told them about banana boats, about, so they were African American children, and she ensured that they got a sense of the Caribbean. She ensured that they got a sense of the international, because she was also interested in Marcus Garvey's UNIA. So she gave them that grounding in race and international politics. So I was really fascinated by her as a young woman in her 20s and 30s in Michigan, confronting the Klan and teaching her children about race.
That's something you don't see too much happening nowadays, is it? Teaching the kids about race.
Exactly. So I was fascinated by that. I'm not sure how much of it happens nowadays, but just the fact that this was the early 20th century, and she sees her children having attitudes of condescension towards them as black people. So she is teaching them, and perhaps you're right that that's not something you see a lot nowadays. So she's explaining to them, hey, this is not who you are. Understand the world in broader terms. But she was also an activist. She was very involved, in fact, when she left Grenada in 1917, she traveled first to Montreal to meet her Uncle Edgerton, who had left Grenada before in 1913. So there you had a bit of a Caribbean diaspora in Montreal, and her Uncle Edgerton was one of the early organizers of Marcus Garvey's UNIA. So she became a part of that. So she was very much an activist there later on, and then met Earl Little in Montreal, and by the beginning of 1920 was back in Philadelphia, married to him. So that's the story. She had that sense of activism, some of it the fact that she goes back to 1915 and Grenada, and then talks about the UNIA and all of that, gives you that sense that she was a woman conscious of the world around her.
You have obviously done an awful lot of research into Ms. Little and Malcolm X, and I would imagine that you've learned an awful lot about racism over the years. How would you compare, based on your understanding, how would you compare the degree of racism we had back in those days, the days of Malcolm's mom, to what we have today? It's still around.
Of course. And I suppose we have to look at what the location is. because even as I speak about race in the 1920s for Malcolm's mom, I have to emphasize that racism existed in the Caribbean as well. We're talking about that colonial context.
Merle, it still exists. It's still.
Absolutely. So, but you see, so she was looking at what was existing in Grenada. She knew that racism, in fact, she was a product of all of that. So that's some of the things I will be talking about on Wednesday as well. So she understood that, but she could see the different expressions of race. From in a colonial country, in Grenada, in the Caribbean generally, where the white colonial class was generally leaving the Caribbean to the emergent national leaders. And she was able to compare that with what was happening in the United States at that period, at the beginning of the 20th century. And it's really interesting when I hear, for example, Malcolm in his autobiography say his mother had a very good education. He doesn't know where she got it from. So he's comparing what he sees in the expressions of his mother's education with his father's education, because of course this was the Jim Crow United States, where the white planters were not going, where in our case, I mean in the Caribbean, they were going back and anxious to prove that, they could be benevolent, etc. So that the approach to education in the British Caribbean at the time was very different from the approach to education that his father had in Jim Crow Georgia. So that makes me also want to do a kind of comparative perspective. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not that race didn't exist, but the colonial leaders saw different needs, and so they had different approaches.
There is a comment here on Facebook. I don't know if you know this person or not. Somebody named Leroy Kwame McMillan says, "Greetings to you, Sister Merle Collins. You are a shining example of true literacy work. Continue to hold up your head proudly."
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
And then he goes on to say, "You are an amazing revolutionary sister." Do you consider yourself to be a revolutionary?
Yes. People mean so many different things when they ask that question, that in my own head, I go back to, I think your question makes me think of one researcher who talked about the French Revolution, saying that when Louis was told, hey, there's a confusion going on outside, he went to bed. So his advisor came and said, well, what is going on? I tell you there's confusion in the streets, there's a revolution. And he said, but isn't it just a riot? No, sir, it's a revolution. So that the idea of revolution is the kind of promotion of systemic change. And so if we're talking about that, I would say yes, because I think that, we have to understand that the Caribbean systems generally, for example, were not developed in our interest. They were developed for something else completely. And it seems to me that each new generation, not just each new generation, but, as people come to a sense of themselves, they understand that they have to make this society in a different image. It was made for colonials. Now we have to remake it into something that really benefits us, in the region in a very different way. And I think it was a different kind of revolution, say, for the Americans, but they also understood that they had to have a revolution,
Yeah.
So that in that sense, at least they understood it then. So that in that sense, I think, yes, if you're asking me if I believe in revolutionary ideas, I do.
It's so amazing. I was not here during the revolutionary period, 79 to 83. I was away. But when I came back here in 86, I learned an awful lot. Merle, for a long time it had me befuddled because I heard so many horrible things about the revolution. But at the same time, I'll be the first to tell you, I heard some wonderful things about the revolution, which, if they were still being practiced today, we would probably be a hell of a lot better off than we are right now. I'll be honest with you. I strongly believe that. There's a lady by the name of Jackie O on Facebook here who says, yes, racism still exists. I listen to it every day in the news here in Washington, D.C. So I guess it's out in the open.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, now it's very much out in the open. Before perhaps there was some, talking about the U.S. context, perhaps there was some more pretense. Now people feel able to express racism in all kinds of ways. So it's absolutely. And going back to the comment you made a little while ago, sometimes we fall short of our own ideals. And that, I believe, is something that happened with the Grenada revolutionary process, and people tend to remember the end or to focus on that, because I think there's a lot to critique. But, the idea of revolutionary change, I really don't give up on that idea. Yeah. But I also very much critique what happened at the end.
Somebody here named Glennis John says, I am enjoying listening to this lady. Can you spend the rest of the day with us, Merle? No. There's another comment here from Donna Antoine. She says, greetings to Merle, my past teacher. Her book should be introduced to our schools. Huh?
Wow, I think this is the second person I hear calling in who is a past student.
Okay.
So, my students are out there. I taught at St. Joseph's Convent and also at MacDonald College.
I wasn't kidding you when I told you about the respect and admiration that I have encountered, from people about you. Now, here's one that's going to turn you on, Merle. Anthony DeRiggs. Does this name ring a bell?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. Anthony says, greetings to Merle Collins. She is a fantastic literary scholar. I am forever grateful for the part she played in allowing me to have a book signing at the University of Maryland years ago.
Oh my gosh.
I am proud of her, and Grenadians will learn much from her. You think you have enough room to accommodate everybody on the week at your lectures?
Thank you so much. I didn't expect so much lifting up this morning, but that is certainly happening.
And could you imagine what it would have been like if you were sitting in here with me where everybody could see you?
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry that couldn't happen.
Dennis Charles. Now, Dennis is an Englishman. Oh, sorry. Dennis is in Atlanta, I think. He says, would you tell Dr. Collins to have a chat with me one day?
Absolutely. I'm not even sure if this is the Dennis Charles I know, but
he's a business consultant trying to teach people in the diaspora how to accumulate wealth.
Okay, yes, I'd love to have a chat with Dennis Charles one day.
Okay, Dennis, contact Merle. Leroy Kwame McMillan says, you are making a very positive change to how our educational system is being practiced. From this context, I am speaking about, I feel re-educated. Let us in London have your books. Your books aren't in London?
Yes, I published in London.
Okay.
So, since I left there, perhaps they're not as available.
Okay. Bob Marichaux says, your books at Dixon College are required reading. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Surprised to see your books at the University of Queensland, Australia. You're learning about yourself this morning, young lady.
I'm learning a lot. Thanks for this education. I'm definitely learning a lot. And the responses also help you to continue with the research because you know that people are reading or listening or interested. So that's good. I appreciate this.
Ernesto Jose wants to know, what year did you teach at McDonald College?
I taught at McDonald College from 70, what was it, 76, 75 to 77.
75 to
I think
77.
I left in, yes.
Dennis Charles, by the way, says, Dr. Collins was my teacher at MDC. She helped me a lot.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's him, yes. I wondered if it was the same Dennis.
Do you remember all these people? I mean, we're talking 70s here. You remember all these people?
I don't always remember, but the ones who called in today, I do remember them. Yes, I remember Dennis very well.
You know, this morning as I was preparing for the program, I was thinking, you know, one of the things I want to talk to you about is memory. And it's ironic that I should just ask you whether or not you remember these people. Merle, as a youngster, history was my least favorite subject. I confess to you, Merle, that I have probably flunked every history test that I did. And back in those days, I think it could be, I'm not going to blame my teachers. I think it's just something I didn't gravitate to. But, you know, back in those days, we were taught that you had to memorize a lot of stuff. We're talking about, you know, the 60s and 70s. You obviously don't fall into that category, do you?
You know, I not at all. The thing is that when I was at school, I remember, and perhaps this is about memory as well, I remember that I absolutely hated, and now listen to this, I absolutely hated Caribbean history. I loved British history. We're talking about 5th form, 6th form here in Grenada. And looking back at it afterwards, I thought, you know, my teachers were also conveying to me what they loved. They had been taught West Indian history in a way that didn't really excite. You know what I'm saying? But they had been taught British history in a different way. So the people who taught me British history gave me that love of a story that wasn't mine at all. But those who taught me West Indian history had themselves been taught West Indian history in that, you know, very distancing way. It's as if the British history belonged more to them. So every time I look back at that, I think of how important it is to have people connect with what is around them. Now, when I do all of the historical research, you know, and I see things like, okay, Africans, liberated Africans came into Grenada in the beginning in the 1830s up to the 1860s, and I see something that says, all right, from this ship called the Athlete, 2 went to Dunfermline, 2 went to Grand Broad, 2 went to wherever. I'm interested because that's all around me, and I think that can happen also with the teaching of history. We don't realize how important it is to begin with ourselves.
There's a popular saying, if you don't know where you came from, you ain't sure where you're going.
Exactly.
All right, there's another question here. I think this person is in New Jersey. Anthony Howard says, hello, Dr. Collins. How do you see the diaspora contributing to the development of Grenada?
Well, I guess to some extent, that is one of the things we'll be talking about with this presentation, because I really feel that the diaspora, you know, beginning in the form of here, since our focus is Louise Langdon Little for the presentation, I really feel that she contributed not only to the development of the United States, you know, of course, the representation that people would know most about is her son Malcolm, but also of the Caribbean. You know, I think of the way that she went to Montreal, you know, her work with the UNIA, her work with her children, and where for example, the U.S. diaspora, the Caribbean diaspora in the United States, or the Caribbean diaspora in the UK, where those are concerned at the moment, and I speak about those two because I lived in both places, but in the U.S. at the moment, I remember, for example, the formation of a diaspora committee where people were kind of genuinely interested in what is happening in, whether it was Trinidad or Grenada or, various parts of the Caribbean, and finding out ways in which they could contribute to needs there. And I think where, the contribution of the diaspora is concerned, sometimes as people existing in the diaspora, we have our own ideas, but I also think it is important to constantly connect with the home space and know what it is people are, concerned about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I guess this response here is to something you said earlier on. Somebody listening to you in St. Kitts right now said, the person's name is Yashan Tafari, says, that is part of the problem we have. We have been given the story from the victor's perspective. We cannot blame many of them because, like she said, that's what they were taught. They are doing a great job at teaching what they have been taught.
No, I agree. I don't think of it as blaming teachers at all. It is looking back and kind of asking myself, why was it that I loved one and not the other? So it's not at all a question of blaming. People are teaching what they have been taught. But that is what is so fascinating, that, when we think of moving forward and changing perspectives, etc., we recognize that. And so I don't disagree with that person who called in.
He also says, we need to realize that we cannot seek to just develop individual countries, but the entire Caribbean and CARICOM diaspora. We as a region went through similar experiences by the Europeans.
Beautiful. Absolutely. I'm always looking back and saying, I don't give up on the idea of a Caribbean federation. It might sound crazy at this point, but I am always looking back and saying that because, the Caribbean, the individual island thing to me is, I can't say a non-starter because it has started, but I absolutely agree with that comment. I'm a Caribbeanist.
All right, Merle, don't go anywhere because I want to get back to you, but there's a gentleman sitting here by the name of Peter Antoine, and I just want to bring him into this for just a wee bit, okay?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Now, Peter,
Yes,
you have sat here very quietly, looking on. You head up an organization which is titled, just let me make sure that I say everything correctly here. It's the Institute for People's Enlightenment.
Yes.
Very briefly, I want you to tell us about your institute, because you're the people who are responsible for putting on these two lectures with Merle.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, George, and good morning to your listeners, and good morning, Merle.
Good morning. Good morning, Peter.
Right. Yes, the Institute is an organization dedicated to raising the historical and heritage consciousness of the population, as well as looking at the question of our history. And we have been putting on the Emancipation Lecture Series. We started off in 2000 as a collaborative effort between UWI Open Campus and the Institute for People's Enlightenment itself. We are a non-profit company that was registered in 2006, and therefore we are dedicated to doing this type of work. So an enlightenment is, as I say in our conversations, you cannot have enough enlightenment, and therefore we are particularly happy that we have this opportunity linking with the UWI Open Campus and to give people like Merle, our Caribbean scholars, the opportunity to speak and share their research with the population and the people in the region, in the diaspora, as well as in Grenada itself. Again, it is important that we appreciate and understand the significance of emancipation. That we are post emancipation 181 years this year. We have been more in terms of our nations have been longer in slavery than we have been in emancipation. So it's a work in progress, and therefore it's important that we focus on this type of...
So let's talk about the 2 lectures you've got coming up very quickly before I get back to Merle.
Yes, the 2 lectures, we have the unique opportunity this year that because Merle is actually speaking about a community, we have the opportunity to bring that lecture, and she has consented that the lecture was normally held at Norton's Hall. So tomorrow, Norton's Hall, the last Monday in July, every year we do this lecture, 5:30 p.m. And on Wednesday, she's repeating the lecture at the Ladig Holy Innocents Anglican Primary School, the School of Louis London Little. We also have at the Holy Innocents School, we have a poster exhibit that will be open to the public on the 29th, the day of the lecture, from 10 to 6 on Emancipation Day, as well as during the Emancipation Weekend and the Rainbow City Festival weekend, Sunday and Monday, same time, 10 to 6 p.m.
All right. Okay, let me get back to Merle right now. And Merle, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Merle, there are a couple of comments, just before we go, there are a couple of comments here that I want you to touch on. The first one from somebody named Bob Marichal. Bob says, Dr. Collins, it would not hurt to mention that the Muslim scholar, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan of Chicago, his mother is from St. Kitts. Did you know that?
Yes, I've heard that.
Okay. Claude Pudner says, thanks, Ms. Collins, for reminding us of Malcolm X and black people's history. I hope the young people are listening. This history should be taught in schools. Thanks, Ms. Collins. Should make you feel kind of good.
Yes. Thank you. And yes.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, those kinds of, the person who reminded us too about Farrakhan and St. Kitts. I think all of that is important because it reminds us that the Caribbean continues to make a contribution throughout the world, a contribution to the development of ideas. And I think that is very important. So thanks for calling in to talk about that.
Dennis Jaws comes again and says, I think the time has come for a pan-Caribbean approach with a single currency promoting trade amongst ourselves first, looking to develop the region for the people of the region. Our mindset should be free of colonial trappings. Self-sufficiency and self-development must be key. Merle?
Well, again, I applaud that pan-Caribbeanist approach because I think it is really important, and I agree with the person who had also called in a little earlier to say that we have to stop or at least move away from the focus on the individual island thing and think about ourselves in broader terms, in Caribbeanist terms, in Latin Americanist terms as well. So as I'm listening to that too, I'm thinking, for example, right now we work together in the U.S. We started an organization a few years ago called Carry Vision, which is a theater company that emphasizes not just Grenada, but it's supposed to, and notice I say supposed to, because we do have the kind of individual island connections, so that many of the people in Carry Vision, because it was started by us as a Grenadian, a group of Grenadians, many of the people in Carry Vision are still very, Grenadian. But we also have Trinidadians, we had the Jamaicans in the group, and we want to reach beyond that to Haiti, Cuba, etc. So I think that broad Caribbean vision is important, and it's one that I've always supported. But I wanted to also say one other thing, because, it concerned me a little bit when that person talked about people gave what they knew. And I just want to emphasize how much I agree with that perspective. So it's not a critique of what people gave. And I think of the way, for example, I hated British history, but I loved the British poetry that I was introduced to. There was a point when I rejected it all, when I came to realize, hold on here, I was given all of that, but nothing of the Caribbean. I rejected it all, and then came back to it when I had the Caribbean as number one, and that as also something that is important. So you see what I'm saying? As we go through life, we learn different things, and it's not about critiquing those who presented what they presented from what they knew. It is, understanding that our perspectives have to keep shifting.
All right, I've got two more comments before I let you go. First of all, Weston Aline says, "Good morning, Merle. Nice to hear you. You might not remember me, but we spoke at times when you came by Mrs. Williams with or to visit your friend Marina Williams."
Oh,
You see, you opened up a can of worms this morning, Merle. I was a student at GBSS then and boarded at Ms. Williams then. Are still friends with Marina and are you still friends with Marina and Louis?
I am. I don't see them often, but yes.
And he says, have a rewarding and enjoyable lecture. And finally, Yashan Tafari says, give thanks to you guys to highlight these kinds of information. It should empower us to see that we have such influential people who came from such humble beginnings. Malcolm X and his connections to Grenada. Farrakhan and his Jamaica and St. Kitts connection. These bits of information could help to motivate our youth to rise to the occasion. Anthony DeRigg says, so sorry I will not be at the event in Grenada. However, Chris, my brother, will be there, I'm sure. I will do my best to spread the word. So says your friend Anthony.
Wonderful.
And
thank you, Anthony.
Louise Nyack Francois says, about the diaspora, many of us have been to several conferences in the past about building the diaspora. That was a waste of time and effort. It just vanished into thin air. There are many academics, including myself, of Grenadian heritage, who are now residing in Grenada. We are ignored and slighted. We have offered our service and have been refused. So this diaspora thing is a farce. Are they really serious? Your final comment, Merle.
No, well, I think that there are always problems with organizations. So, whereas I can understand a kind of frustration that might make one say the diaspora thing, meaning the organizations focused on diaspora are not really working. I think that there are many ways in which that diaspora connection continues to work. It is working with or without a specific organization around it, because the diaspora continues to find ways. Individuals from the diaspora continue to find ways to contribute. And I think the very fact that this person who is speaking, and I think he said it was Louis Francois, the very fact that you are here now means that you had that connection. And as a person from the diaspora, you are here contributing in various ways. So I think it is more organizations we are talking about and the problems that are very often attendant to, making organizational initiatives work. So don't give up on the idea of diaspora connection.
Merle, on that note, regrettably, I have to pull the curtain down, but I just have to say this. Yes, I was very disappointed that we were not able to sit face to face after so much anticipation, but I have been truly honored by having a chance to speak with you for the last little over half an hour or so. And you know what? Nothing happens before it's time. One of these days, we're going to bump into each other.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak this morning. And I am definitely going to make it my business to ensure that we meet. So,
Okay.
so look out for me, knocking on doors.
Oh, that would be so sweet. Just give me a call and let me know when.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Merle Collins speaking with us there. Oh, wow, wow. I couldn't have asked for more, hey? Thank you, folks. Let me see here. There are a couple more comments coming in here. Let me also say, by the way, thank you very much to Peter Antoine for coming in this morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to play George Garn, Wizard's theme song.
Won't have time.
Okay.
Won't have time. And thank you very much for coming in. Dennis Charles says, George, I am in Dallas now attending a financial literacy convention. Please pass on my number to Dr. Collins. Schedule a program with us on development in the region. I have to leave now. I fly out to Atlanta soon. Irvin Samuel says, good morning, George. Dr. Collins, one of my former greatest teachers and mentors, my fellow Grenadian folks. I am so proud of Dr. Collins. She has the true Grenadian profile. Thank you for your research and contribution towards helping to reveal our true identity as a people, which may eventually form the cornerstone to our real origin and subsequent integration as a people. Agatha Jordan says, just back from church, and she said a prayer for you and for Grenada. Well, thank you very much, Agatha. Thank you very much. I hope you prayed for Peter and Merle and my next guest, Andre. I hope you prayed for all of us this morning. Andre, did you go to church this morning? Andrew did not go to church this morning. But he's going to be talking with us in a few minutes. I'm glad about that. Anthony Howard says, the problem I see with diaspora engagement is that the people who are in the best position to bring about change are not working with each other to that end. Folks, let me take a little break here, and then we shall come on back with Andre Lewis.
GRENLEC Community Partnership Initiative.
This is not the first time that GRENLEC, through the GCPI, has responded positively to TAMCC, and we are always appreciative for the support. TAMCC, like the GCPI, is geared to service the community. As a college, we cannot accomplish our mission of fostering Grenada's development through education without meaningful partnerships from other community members. GRENLEC has been a leader in this regard.
GRENLEC, energizing our community.
Mr. Watts, wait. Why are you removing my sign?
Sorry, Larry, but you can't put the sign on an electricity pole. That is an accident waiting to happen.
Mr. Watts, man, I just finished this new house. I need to put up a sign so that people would know that the apartment is for rent. Why can't I put my sign on the pole?
Larry, you should know better. Think about it. Nails, staples, glue, and signs make it difficult for linesmen to quickly and safely climb poles, and it can delay their response time when there is an emergency. These objects can prevent linesmen responding as quickly as they should in an emergency.
You know, I've never thought about those things. But you're absolutely right.
On top of that, Larry, your sign was covering the pole identification number. What if someone needed to report a fault? The pole number tells GRENLEC exactly where the problem is and allows them to respond faster.
Whoa, I really didn't consider all these things, you know. Come, let me help you take this down.
Remember, be safe, be smart. No more signs, banners, or posters on electricity poles.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
Mm-mm. I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
All right, folks, we are back and about to continue with this edition of Sundays with George Grant. Take a look at that gentleman there. That's Mr. Comrade Andre Lewis, who is the president of the Trade Union Council. Let me say something. I invited Andre here to talk about Cellphonegate. And Cellphonegate is not just one issue. There are several issues here, I'm finding out. And last night, I went to bed thinking about this, and I said, I just hope that he lives up to his promise. I called him a little over a week ago and asked him if he would be on the program. And he said he didn't want to say yes or no, because he had to meet with his members. But he seemed very hopeful that he would be here. I sat here talking with Merle a few minutes ago, and in walks Andre. And you know the thought that went through my mind? He'll never make it as a politician because he keeps his promises. Thanks for being here, Andre.
You're most welcome.
Nice to see you, fella.
Sure.
Andre, you've been with us several times before. As I mentioned a little while ago, there are several aspects of Phonegate. Now, you met with your membership through the past week. Did you guys debate all of them?
But first of all, allow me to say good morning to the listeners and viewers, and to wish you all the very best, George, as you continue communicating with our people, an avenue that brings different perspectives, different thoughts. So we want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
And to wish you all the very best.
Thanks to the cooperation of people like you and the other union leaders. Thank you.
Okay. Allow me for one moment just to address and to bring to the attention a very sad occasion, the passing of Comrade Dr. Winston Thomas.
Heard that last night.
A very true son of the soil, a dedicated, committed, selfless Grenadian. Someone who epitomizes what love is for people. This is a comrade, this is a doctor, this is a human being who puts service above self. Everyone who knows him and everyone who heard about him must have heard about his commitment to duty and his commitment to service, and just his love for people. And money has never been an issue for him. It is about service. This is a comrade who I could say, based on all that I've heard and observed, who have never been late for work. This is one who has gone beyond the call of duty. This is a comrade I know I personally know, when he was based in Merle, St. Andrew, and living in town. Used to start to walk to go to work, and will get a ride along the way. He never wanted to bother anyone. Totally committed. He would go to duty at any time he's been called. This is what we need. He's totally selfless, as I've said. It's a very sad moment. I want to express condolences to his mom, to his brothers, to his sisters, to the comrades and brothers and the Carnage, and to the whole of Grenada, everyone who came across him. And in this context, therefore, I want to ask for consideration that at least the emergency department or so in the hospital be renamed after him. Because this is a comrade who has always been there. And under the trying circumstances, the trying conditions, even if it is by himself as a doctor. And many people, many doctors, many senior administrators wondered how he made it. This is a comrade who has never complained. He's a disciplinarian. Let me make that point. He's totally committed, even to workers. He is a member of the Public Workers Union executive. This is a comrade who has been involved in street battles. I remember him personally on top Market Hill when an attempt was made to pass the Emergency Services Act, the white paper, when the barbed wires were put on Market Hill and the SSU on top Market Hill. And we confronted the police, all in the interest of focusers there. He's totally fearless. It is not about himself. And whether the issue concerns Grenada, the region, internationally, his voice will be heard. And therefore, a void has been created. But we can keep that voice on by doing what he loved and what he committed himself, be of service to human beings. And as I said, as a doctor, he just was there for everyone. And therefore, I want to salute him. Yes? So it was a sad day. He passed away yesterday. And you know, doctors like him who has been there for people, sometimes you wonder, what could you have done? Yes? But his memory will live on, and we commit ourselves to carry on his work. I know that I'm here for a different matter, but it is related. Tommy was just an exemplary human being.
I want to get my 2 cents in on this gentleman.
Yes.
Andre, I have known this gentleman on the streets for years. I didn't know he was a doctor.
Precisely.
Okay? I didn't know he was a doctor. Until, Andre, listen to me. Not this past New Year's morning, the previous New Year's morning, in other words, about a year and a half ago.
Yes.
I was admitted to the emergency room of that hospital, supposedly suffering from a heart attack. And obviously, I mean, when you hear you have a heart attack, I mean, you know, all kind of things start going on in your head, right? This guy was at my bedside. Well, it wasn't a bed at that time. It was a slab that threw you out. Andre, that man made me feel so comfortable.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
He put me to relax. Take care of you. I want to take care of you. I have never forgotten that. So last night, when I found out that this man had passed away, you could imagine, it hit home.
Yes, George. And I've had personal experiences. My mom, my daughter, my wife. This is a comrade who, if we get a message as comrades, right, that someone is not feeling well, we will just pick Tommy up, be it in St. Andrew, be it in St. Patrick. He do not have to know the person, and he will go. And I have never heard Tommy say no. I've never heard Tommy say no to a request to assist someone. He saw this as his duty, and he will make himself available. Tommy is an exemplary human being, one of a kind. Yes, and just permit me, whatever people may think of Che Guevara's politics, the selflessness of Che, I have seen it in Tommy, and I'm sure others have seen it. He has given himself totally, and as a matter of fact, sometimes I wonder when Che Guevara had to make that decision as to whether or not he continued as a doctor, because she was a medical doctor, or he continued as a soldier, having to make a decision between carrying his medical kit and his military kit. And he picked up his military kit, and as he told his mom, today he become a soldier. Yes? Tommy has picked up, as the Cubans have done. Let me make that point. To me, the comrades in Cuba and the Cuban system must feel proud of products like Tommy. He has come back. He went away to study during the revolution. So the state paid for him. And he has come back and he has given everything back to the state. Unlike most others, I want to say this. You cannot compare Tommy, except Dr. David Lambert and Dr. Raphael Carib John. Both who have passed to the great beyond already. But Tommy, I want to put Tommy at the highest pinnacle. He has done what has been expected of him and more than. The Cuban people has given to us, and he has come back and given to the state and to the people of this country beyond the call of duty. Right? He's a very, very fine comrade.
Lincoln Depredine, I don't know where Lincoln is this morning, but he's saying Dr. Winston Thomas was one of a kind. Bless his soul, may he rest in peace.
Thank you.
Yeah, may his soul rest in peace.
Yeah, a void has been created, but we have to commit to work on it. In terms of medical service, void in terms of medical service.
All right.
Thank you.
You've been paying your bills, your phone bills?
Yes, I have, and I've been doing so diligently. Yes.
Okay, I just don't want to hear Andre Lewis owe $80,000. You know, that I would kind of take offense to that.
Well, and you would be right. I know I have a duty to pay my phone bill at the end of every month, and I can tell you that many times I go to pay my bill without a bill because I'm aware of around the time of the month that my bill is due. Yeah, so I do that. But then I'm an individual. I am not part of a system. And therefore, in relation to where you directing this conversation by the opening of your question, asking me about my bill. First of all, I want to say in the context of everything, there ought to be a proper investigation to be carried out.
Let's talk about that.
Right, I think so. Public officers need to be allowed to do their jobs.
Yeah.
First and foremost, because there ain't no public officer. I hear different talks all over the place, but there ain't no public officer who, if there is something that is taking place that may have political overtones to it, that will intervene, because we know what happens to them, and that comes through our history and our many experiences. So rather than allowing us to be speculating, it is important to have a proper investigation to make the following determination. Whether or not this is just a one-off incident from 2016 to 2019, because we have heard about April to June, or whether or not it is part of a wider issue. As I said, we are here speculating, but I think we can make some informed speculation for want of a better word. But the best way to help us address this matter is to have, as I say, an independent investigation. Because one finds it difficult to accept. In our discussion, we find it difficult to accept that, and let me say that in the case of the individual that is involved, whose name has been bandied around, it is quite possible that he has been left to take the fall. And therefore, an investigation would reveal this. Because if it is part of a wider system, yes, people have different, look, in these things, people are given different missions. Now, this one reeks of corruption. Let me make the point, because if it is true, as it appears to be, then the question of whether or not there's a misappropriation of state funds will come into play. And that is why it's important to have an investigation. And therefore, if it is part of a system, the individual whose name has been centered around, it may very well reveal that he was part of a cog in a wheel in which state resources may have been used to carry out party activities. Because it is difficult to appreciate that over a 3-month period, one would have an average bill, monthly bill of close to $20,000 or over $20,000 for what we call regular use. So it is quite possible, as I said, these are speculations, but and therefore an investigation will be able to address that. Some of the questions that have been asked, whether or not this was used as part of a party machinery to allow the functioning of other operatives, and therefore their expenses has been covered by the state to do party work. What is of deep concern also related to this, if during April to June the bill has been so high, if there is any truth that these were political activities, and I'm saying these are speculations, yes, the question that would also arise, what made that bill or other related bills have been around the 2018 period leading to 2018 close to election, where there may be would have been more political activities? Given the sacrifices that workers have made over the years and continues to make, we cannot afford to have the misappropriation of our funds. It is all well and good, and we compliment, and I compliment any political organization that can find resources to do its political work, because that will make a difference between winning or losing. And if you have a manifesto and you want to serve people, a political party, any political organization that is serious about its operations and serious about serving people would find the necessary resources to do what is necessary to make themselves appealing to the public to get into office. But it must not be done at the expense of the state, because there's a clear distinction. There ought to be a clear distinction. In our discussion, and evidence may prove us.
I hate to interrupt you because I see you're on a roll, Andrea, but
sure.
You touched on something that I really don't want you to leave unaddressed. You talk about a proper investigation, Andre, and a lot of people out there are calling for that, a lot. Government has announced that they're going to do an investigation. I saw where the Integrity Commission said that they were trying to determine the veracity of the claims, you know, suggesting that they do may be involved. Andre, tell me, please, how comfortable would you feel with the outcome of an investigation conducted by the government?
Let me say, Mr. Grant.
George.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Just part of my brought up.
Yeah, I know.
Growing up in Ladego with my queen.
Well,
yeah.
it's part of my brought up see too, George.
Yes, thanks very much. But I guess you would have been more influenced by North America culture. Yes.
Andrea, leave me alone.
Yes. Without casting any aspersions on anyone's character, and it is not that I would not have confidence in government individuals or government appointee individuals carrying out an investigation. It's not that I would mistrust anyone, but based on what is involved, it would be best for non-governmental persons to be involved. You see, justice must not only be done, but it must also be seen to be done, and therefore perception will be important. Perception will be important. And more than that, the fact that, well, I've heard the Prime Minister indicate, and correctly so, I don't think he went to the full extent though, accepting responsibility.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He could not have done anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It would not be proper to have the government involved in selecting or putting together individuals. And this here has nothing to do in whether whoever they select. In other words, they may select an individual that we may all agree with, but the fact that that individual may or may not have been selected by them may not send the right message. So this is extremely important, because this is about trust and confidence. Yeah? It's about trust and confidence. The public officer, I want to address the issue of the public officer, as I know efforts have been made to try to lay some blame at the public officer's doorstep. We are aware that as we currently speak, there are dozens, if not scores, of public officers who have been marginalized, who has not been given anything to do. And in a number of cases, it has to do with because they want to stick to what must be done in an orderly and disciplined way. We know that. We know that. And therefore, is it fair or is it human to expect someone who may be suspicious of an activity and to put their neck out after taking into account that they have families, etc. But what an investigation may also reveal, hopefully, is whether or not the public officers over the years who were given government cell phones, I'm speaking about public officers who came through the normal public service system, on leaving the service, whether or not they have ended up into instances as what is happening right now. Because you've been hearing up for a number of names, and quite a number of them have come through the political route. Yes? And taking into account that there are 2 and 3 and probably 4 different levels in the public service, and people are appointed or given certain responsibilities outside of the norm of the public service based on political affiliation, whether or not some blind eyes may not have been turned. And this I'm saying we can kill the speculation, and that is why when you called me, I said, look, give us some time, because this is such a serious national issue. We do not just want to jump into making comments. Emotionally. And that is why I just did not walk into here this morning. But when I didn't hear from you, you had undertaken to call me after our meeting on Thursday. I didn't hear from you. So I called you on Friday to find out if you called me and you didn't get me. And you said no, and then I told you that I was available. But one thing about us, George, our leadership, is that we stick to our words. And because the most that we have, all that I have, that no one can take away or do anything about except me, is my integrity. And part of that, important part of that, is our discipline, our commitment to time. And had I been running late, I would have called you to let you know that something has happened. But the focus here has to be, you see, let me tell you what is also of concern. And the central theme is the need for that proper and independent investigation. Because here's some of the speculations. And connections can be made. And I'm not saying that this has happened, or the link that I'm making. As we speak, we have heard about the issue with Montpure and Glenelg. And I'm not getting involved in the incident at SpiceMass Corporation. I'm addressing now if what has been reported is true, that the sum involved in the securing of the rights to the SpiceMass activities is $12,000. When you put that in the context of everything that is happening, it is almost impossible to not see the possibility of a pattern developing. Yes? One cannot help, as leaders, we are obligated to ask ourselves these questions. I don't know, but it is rather strange that for $12,000 and probably a few bottles of water, that a company, and I do not know if there is any political connection with the company and the party. I wouldn't say this, the government, because the government ought not to be political in terms of party politics.
Ought not to be.
Ought not to be. Yes, and I'm saying ought not to be. But it begs into question, and I have no doubt in my mind of the competence of the people that are responsible for running the SpiceMass Corporation. I have no doubt about the competence. But many times we know things happen not on the basis of competency,
but expediency.
No, I would say more than expediency. Because expediency sometimes may speak about you need to achieve something in a short space of time. Right, so you drop all the rules. It does not have to be expediency. It may be, and I'm not saying it is, it may be that there is something bigger that is happening. In other words, is it $12,000 paid here and the other things elsewhere in terms of the party machinery? An investigation will be able to address those sort of things for us. You see, as leaders, we have to address these issues. Yes, very objectively. All right? And probably, not probably, one of the good that would have come out of this SpiceMass issue is that SpiceMass itself, in my view, will find or ought to find itself in a better financial position going forward. So whether or not, if for instance the bidding process was not done in the manner in which it should have been done, whether or not there was open competition, if there is open competition, you may very well find that SpiceMass may be able to rake in not $12,000, but probably $200-something thousand, $100-something thousand. So with everything that is happening now, one have to probably look at these things in this context.
Andrea, what can I say? You know, it all goes back to what we suggested earlier on the need for an independent investigation. I'm not sure where I saw it, but I saw some suggestions made as to who should be on that investigating body. Totally agree. how can you have the government investigating itself? I mean, there are times we hear the police investigating themselves. How can Joe Blow, you and me, man on the street, especially when you see the crap that's going on in this place, how can you have any confidence? And very often, I'm sure you're aware, we don't hear the outcome of these investigations.
Yeah. You see, what an investigation, and one of the terms of reference of the investigation also should be to make recommendations for proper systems. Because allow the chips to fall where they may. If it turns out that a public officer failed in their duty, let's address it. If it turns out that the political directorates knowingly allow this to happen, if it turns out that the individual at the center of this turned out to have just done this on his own, let's address it, right? As I've said, it is difficult to appreciate. It is difficult to appreciate that the individual would have done this on his own. And therefore, he may very well be the fall guy. And I understand how those things has happened. You're part of an organization, you're given a task, yes, and he's probably have just been carrying out his duty. But we cannot do this at the expense of taxpayers. We cannot do this at the expense of taxpayers. Because there might also be different fallouts. As to whether or not, all depends on who has been involved or at the center of this activity. As to whether or not they should still be in the public domain. Yes? You know, whether or not I would still want to have you, George, if you are guilty of this and you're part of my organization, be in my mouthpiece. You follow me? Right? I mean, what is the message are we sending to our nation? What is the message are we sending to the younger generation? So all of these things, we can use those things to help put systems in place. We need to know not only who is involved, but we also need to know the sum that has been well misappropriated. Because if the state has been using state resources to pay for private or party activities, then that would be a misappropriation of our funds. And therefore, we need to have an appreciation of that. And it is owed to us as Grenadians, especially the public officers, especially the working people of this country, who have had to dig deep in their pocket, dig deep in our pockets with the different taxes and the different sacrifices, the different no increases that have been there, the one-off over the years. There is a duty and an obligation for us to know. We need to stop this leakage. You may very well find that it is not just a leak, it may be a flood. Yes? It may not be something that has just been trickling, but it's something that has just come to light. And what else are there? And as a responsible organization, not wanting to just make speculation, we're just asking questions. And we are confident that there is a proper way that at least the nation can be given some level of objective answers.
Let me take in a couple of comments here on Facebook. First of all, Rodriguez James says, it is important that notwithstanding the action of the lady for Mount Pure, I am glad it happened, or else this atrocity would not have come to light.
Precisely.
Yeah?
Precisely.
Ernesto says, can you give us an update on the present situation with government and the union? Ernesto, we're talking something totally different here right now. Come on. Kipling says, an investigation is what's needed, but by who? It's sad to live in a country where there is no trust, no integrity, and no respect for the rule of law, where one man is law. Fitzroy says, Mr. Lewis, as leader of a trade union, you guys are the ones to lead, and we will follow. Actions speak louder than words. The power is in our hands. Let me hear you.
Well, most definitely, and we have to do everything in an organized way. That is why we are calling for an investigation. I do not want to answer to every comment, but I think it is important to make the following point. I do not subscribe that there's absolutely no confidence in Grenada. I do not want to subscribe that there's a total breakdown in law and order in Grenada. We have many challenges, I admit. Yes, but we have had working public officers, the vast, vast majority. All that we are asking for is to be allowed to do our jobs in a fair manner. Allow us to do our jobs so that we can follow what is expected of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And we are not worse than the rest of the world or the region, but we must address issues when they occur. And what the Montpellier incident, as one of the colleagues, writers on the, I think it's James, Roger Chris James,
Mm-hmm.
had the incident not taken place, then we'd have been none the wiser.
Mm-hmm.
And in some way, and that is why sometimes when incidents happen, it is important to look at what could we learn from this, what has it brought to light, rather than just focusing on, okay, the lady went into the office, or the guy slammed the door. We have to condemn that. Let me make that. We have to condemn that, and that can be dealt with at another time.
Mm-hmm.
But what has been revealed there is that Spice Mass Corporation, in my view, ought to be in a better place going forward. And Grenada as a whole ought to be in a better place going forward, coming out of that incident.
Raphael Joseph says, Senator, I think you got the perspective on this matter absolutely right. And you know something, Andre? I don't know if you do, but I see some irony in this. You know, we keep touting the Fiscal Responsibility Act. I think most recently we heard the act has been blamed for you guys, unions and so on, and their gratuity and their pensions and all that, not getting what's entitled to you guys. And here we have somebody running away with I believe it's more than $100,000. I know for sure it's $70,000, okay? And this man is still on the job. He's still doing the propaganda work.
But I think it is bigger than just one man, George. That's what.
Yeah. You mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, and this is our investigation. I think it's sort of if we keep putting our sight on the one individual, I think we'll be missing a bigger picture. You know, I think he has been made to take the fall, as I said, unless something else shows up, because I think so. And it's important to bear those.
And you're absolutely right, Andre. But let's assume that you're absolutely correct on this. Forget about the individual. It's what actually happened, the abuse or misuse
of
most government funds.
And that's where I'm going. And that is why we have said from day one, and I want to repeat, in principle, the labor movement supports the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Let's address this. The Fiscal Responsibility Act brings some level of discipline within government in terms of how they spend. But the issue is not spending. The issue is the appropriation of funds. So, and that is why we have always argued. The government has said, look, your salary increase must not lend itself to a total wage bill of over 9% of GDP. So they have tried to put a cap on us. They have tried to muzzle us in terms of negotiations. Yes? The rest of government spend, they can use it as they see fit. In other words, yes, there are certain guidelines. I want to admit there are certain guidelines, but they are not rigid. And that is why you can find what you may see as, for want of a better word, I will say, politically geared activities, and that will be normal, any government that is in office. There will be certain activities that they'll get involved in that is allowable, but that may raise concern as to whether or not it has been invested in the right way. Because one, we have a difficulty with the way the debushing has been done. For instance, we think it could be used better in terms of using the people, train them into some form of agriculture. Better uses can be made there. But we are very happy, let me make the point, we are very happy that people are getting some form of income. And it is still better than just giving a handout that people go in and line up. But the Fiscal Responsibility Act has been designed in particular to restrict our ability to negotiate. And that is why, because something else that must come to mind. If the Ministry of Finance is the one tasked with the responsibility for managing our finances, if the Ministry of Finance is the one, and I think my recollection is that they are tasked with that responsibility, why are these things going undetected? And then it begs into question, and that is why an investigation is necessary. So an investigation will say, look, this did not happen because Mr. A, Mr. B, or Miss X, or Miss Y is in charge, and they allow things to slip. You follow me? We also need to be able to address that. Because even from a trade union point of view, because the workers in the Ministry of Finance, most of them falls under the Public Workers Union. Because you have a number of people who are contract workers, and that's the problem, You have a number of people who are contract workers, etc. The union would like to know that our members are allowed or not allowed to function properly, or the right people are in the right positions, and you are in that position because of your competency or not because of your loyalty or whatever it is. These are the matters. These are unanswered questions. And I do not personally like to go about speculating, and that is why I told you, let us discuss it. Because one of the worst things that could happen to us as a people is what I call getting involved in just gossiping. But this matter is so serious that it allowed these sort of speculations. One thing that we are sure on, the fact that the Prime Minister has admitted that the information that came out regarding the payment of the phone bills of individuals by the state, so we know that as a fact. So we are not speculating. He has admitted it. The rest, it is allowed for us now and I think we have enough experience, right, to what you call circumstantial evidence, to be able to make some sort of inferences that is not too far-fetched. And the way that we can finally bring some rest to this matter is by this proper. We may need to see what the Governor General may do. I mean, I don't know. I'm saying Governor General, probably. I know that there is concern. I raised in the Senate in 2017 or thereabouts, 2017, 2018, the following concern. And to the credit of the government, the leader of government business or one of the other senators, they had indicated that they will look into it. But the question of the head of the FIU. Yes? The question of the head of the FIU. And this is not about expulsion, but this is about perception. This is about perception. Now, had it been you, George, that was at the head of the FIU, and had it been that you were known to be not close to any politician, any minister or so, then if you were to lead an investigation, even if at the end of the day you were to come out and say, look, the government is not at fault, or the individual is not at fault, although it is glaringly clear that the individual benefited, people may have been more prepared to accept that outcome. Yep. And that is why it is important to ensure that we feel a sense that we can see justice being done. I don't want to say where I want the outcome to be. I have no interest in where the outcome will be. What I want to know is that there's a fair outcome, and we take it from there.
Let me share something with you that is going to make you scratch your head. I came across a statement on Facebook a couple of days ago, and I'm taking the liberty of reading this. We know that Scott Mr. Scott has admitted liability. But 2 weeks after the incident, the man is just out there, business as usual. I understand the point you made a little while ago. Okay. Somebody wrote on Facebook, and I quote, "I saved my hard-earned money in piggy banks for years and recently decided to deposit those savings in my bank account. The amount exceeded $10,000. The FIU investigates me. Where did that money come from?" All right? So I'm left to conclude saving money for retirement outside of a financial institution is frowned upon. On the other hand, I change employment status and keep items belonging to my previous employer and use them for my benefit. No investigation. I make what I hope is not an empty promise, and all is cool. Isn't something wrong here?
And that is why I do not want to just focus on the individual. I expect his organization to do the right thing. If in our organization, even if we were to give someone a mission and it fell out, and that individual, there are just certain changes that you have to make. It's difficult to accept. There are a number of individuals that may be responsible for this, right? And therefore, I don't think it might be fair to just zero in on the. I would hate to believe that individual, under normal circumstances, would not have known or that he's not paying a bill. He must. But it is not just him. And that is why I don't think it is just right to focus on him. And I know I may get into some of my colleagues and others but I like to say things the way I see it within reason.
Yeah. Call a spade a spade.
I like to see the things and that's what leadership is about. Yes. There is that issue. It is not just that, it just cannot be. It is not making sense that it is just this one individual. And I'm linking this to the Glenelg matter, $12,000. When I heard that Glenelg sponsored and were given exclusive rights, the arguments that some of my colleagues and I had, and we had different views. Those of us who are arguing, look, this is a national event, and therefore all national businesses must be able to get a piece of the pie. There are those who are arguing that, look, in business, if you purchase the rights, you should have exclusive right. I remember the comment being made, and I talk about trade unions, comrades, colleagues, that look, Glenelg would have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars for that rights, and therefore what do you expect them to do? No, that argument fell flat once it became known that it was $12,000 and probably some bottles of water. So let us look at the broader picture. Let's look at the broader picture. That's what we are calling for. That's what we are calling for. Because we do not believe that any individual would have been able to carry out an operation like this by themselves. We do not believe that. But prove us wrong.
Yeah. Andre, let me tell you, I think this matter, we've seen a lot of hot issues come and go very quickly, 2-week, 3-week wonders. But I think this one's going to be around for a little while. Because what we see happening here, to me, is a very serious indictment on the state of democracy in this country. If you're going to have the government or its agents investigating this, or no investigation or no action taken. We have a serious problem on our hands. And this is not the first time. I think a lot of people out there know we have serious problems on our hands. But we got to go, Andre, because before you go, you don't know how much I appreciate the trades unions taking the lead in breaking their silence on this issue. Last weekend, we had a young lady here, Daisy Hazard. She was speaking on behalf of the Public Workers Union, and she too expressed her views. So thank you. Now, Andre, you can sit around here if you like, or you can leave and listen to us on your phone, in the car, whatever. But I'm expecting, he's probably sitting outside there right now, Mr. Lester Andall.
Okay.
From the from the Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce. I've been able to twist his arm into getting him to come here.
Could I quickly, because while this is happening, we have a number of people outside there who are in need. And what comes to my mind is that of our comrade sister nurse, Patty Williams, a sister who suffered injury at her workplace in Mongay, and who has to be outside there begging for assistance. The state ought to take responsibility. And I give that commitment that I and the labor movement will undertake this matter. I can't go without saying the following. Comrade Patty ought not to be where she is right now. We of the Technical and Allied Workers Union, and it is important to address this matter, had offered our professional assistance because we are very good at these things. We have an officer who is trained in this, who deals with workplace injuries. And we had offered our services, not directly to Sister Patty, so I just want to, just for the avoidance of people who may be listening, and it's a pity that we are here. But we will get back involved in the matter, right? And we give that commitment, because a worker must not be allowed to go through this, right? Sister Patty dutifully carrying out her obligation to us Grenadians at the Mongay mental facility was attacked, assaulted on her job. And here she has to be doing motorcades along the streets of Grenada, begging for assistance. And we became aware of it only over the last 2 months. I mean, we knew of the incident. That's the Technical and Allied Workers Union, I must say. We knew about it when it happened. We offered our services. I want to repeat, we offered our services. It was not taken up. Because you see, you can handle things in different ways and have different outcomes. Yes? But we are at a stage where we are prepared to give our assistance in terms of our professional expertise. And when we commit ourselves to something, George, we carry out a commitment and we go all out. And commitment is not always about making noise. It's not about marching the street. As you would find that in the Lassos matter, for instance, it took us 15 years. 15 years, but we never gave up. And you were not hearing us in the news. There are different forms of struggle. People may only know us or condemn us or praise us for when we march the street. But we do a lot of work. The labor movement has been doing a lot of work. The Technical and Allied Workers Union, because we represent over 70 workplaces, have been involved in different forms of struggle. Some quietly, because there are times, in order to win that battle, you have to be able to move very quietly. And there are times, in order to win, you have to make a lot of noise. And there are times, you have to combine the different approaches. So, Sister Patty, if you are listening, and any of your relatives, the Technical and Allied Workers Union commits itself once you are willing, and once those around you are willing to walk along with us to give you our expert advice. And we commit ourselves to so doing, as we commit ourselves once again. And I want to end as I start by recognizing Comrade Thomas, Dr. Thomas, the people's doctor, and to call for the emergency department to be renamed after him. So long, my comrade, so long, our comrade, you have done much more than others have done. And you exemplify a true human being you have been guided by love for people. And once you have love for people, your technical competence is just that will augment it, because the first thing that comes is love and care for people, and you exemplifies this. So, to his family, our deepest condolences. Comrade Thomas.
I got to share with you a couple of comments before you go. Claude Putner says, George, investigation, 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 chicken farm, marketing board, shrimp farm, lottery, and much, much more. That's all we hear. We need answers, George. This man is a homeboy. He is a no-nonsense man. Put him on the investigation team. We will get results. Janice Jones Bagwan says, and she's talking about Patty here, and she is not the only nurse injured on the job. It's a damn disgrace. And finally, not finally, because here they come, Fitzroy Adams says, Mr. Lewis, do you really expect this organization to do the right thing? Check the past records of this organization. For example, something as simple as the investigation about Panorama 2 years ago. We're still waiting for the results. Donna Joseph says it's a shame when Nurse Patty has to go out begging through a motorcade after she was injured on the job. This government should have gotten the nurse immediate medical attention and foot the damn bills. Andre, I got it. Oh, hold on. Kipling says, talk, talk, talk. When will we see action? Back up those talk. Yeah, Kipling. Andre, I got to go. I got to go. Thanks, bro.
Yes, and thank you very much, George. And just to encourage people to participate in the activities that your earlier guest spoke about. It is important because if we are able to get back the spirit of Malcolm's mom, once we know about those things, it helps informing you. She has contributed a lot to the spirit of the comrades and colleagues from Ladig and Grenada.
Yeah.
You know Ladig, right?
Of course I know that. You're teasing me because you know that's my neighborhood.
Okay.
Are you from up there too?
Yes, I'm from Ladig.
Yeah, man.
I'm from Ladig.
We take over town.
Yeah, and I know that we have visited the spot, and I know the spot where Malcolm's mom grew up. As a matter of fact,
really?
I attended an activity in Ladig on Sunday. It was nostalgic. Black Wizard in his 50th, another comrade that I want to salute for his 50 years of dedication to working people and progressive people. And his music was being played, he sang. And I remember this lady, one of Wizard relative, coming to look at the posters that were up concerning Malcolm's ex-mom and his brothers, etc. And she was indicating that she's looking because she knew them. Yes, his brothers and others. Are you following me? So the connection is there.
Elwin McQuilkin, earlier on when we were talking with the lady, he says, George, it was a pleasure to be a part of the Institute of People's Enlightenment Community Goodwill Variety Honor Concert last Sunday, July 14th at the Holy Innocents Anglican Primary School. Looking forward to the professor's lecture. Similarly, looking forward to the 50th anniversary concert. Join us in the celebration at the Spice Basket on Friday, August 2nd. Okay, Wiz? Yeah.
I was at the school.
You were there?
It was good, yeah. That's where I went to. That's my primary school.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And, Ladig has such a rich history.
Well, you and I come from there. What do you expect?
Yeah, just in passing, I remember there was an incident where the church tried to prevent us from using the playing field. We used to call it the rectory in Holy Innocents. And the fighting spirit of Malcolm X just would not have allowed the youths to accept this. And the posts and everything were literally root up off the ground. The police came there and arrested a number of the young guys from Ladig. I witnessed this. It has always stayed in my mind. Resisting and standing up for what is right. Yes, and there are guys like Forbes. I want to thank you, Forbes, Wilbert Forbes and others, for all that you have done for Ladig and continue to do. Not just for Ladig, but for the surrounding. And as you reminded us, he was one of the 11 that was arrested at that time.
Yeah.
Yes? And that would have been, and that was before the revolution. So that was during Gary's time, right? That would have been about probably sometime 77 or thereabout, 78. Whatever period it was, I can't recall the exact year. right? But the youth athletic decided that this is where we used to play our sports, and there was the Ladig Coles Youth Club, LCYC, yes, with culture and everything. And people used to come from all parts of Grenada to watch football played in what we call a handkerchief. The playing field was so small that we used to call it a handkerchief, but yet still there were activities there. So that activity, that the connection with Malcolm X means a lot.
Tessa Barry just put something on here. She says, George, I was at that activity
Yeah,
at
I saw
Holy
Tessa
Innocents.
there, yeah.
She says, I was most impressed with the involvement of the children.
But there's a young guy who sings soca and said that, I can't recall his name, but he said that if his name is George, they sing that already. In other words, this guy, he's a talent. He's a natural. And I expect good things to come from him, and hopefully Wizard and others, and Teacher Eddie, who has done so much for young kids in terms of calypso. Eddie must be recognized in my view. I mean, Teacher Eddie must be recognized for all that he has done. Hopefully the people like this will take him, continue to mold him, and walk along with him. And then the whole innocent kids played the still band. You know, it was just so so good.
Andre,
and my niece sang the national anthem.
Congrats. Instead of just union work, man, one of these days, come and sit down and talk with me about stuff like we're talking about here. Community involvement, you know? Yeah. I know your hands, you're busy.
Not busy, but yeah, I mean, we could arrange this.
Let's do that.
Yeah, we could do this.
Thanks a lot, bro.
Thanks very much for having me, and all the very, very best to people. And long live the memories of Dr. Winston Thomas.
All right.
Comrade.
Okay, folks, and hopefully, I am hoping Mr. Lester Andall, he's here. Mr. Andall is here. He's out there in the living room. Okay, we're going to get to Lester after this.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Conveniently located in the GRENADIAN Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenans will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
GRENADAN Community Partnership Initiative.
This is not the first time that GRENLEC, through the GCPI, has responded positively to TAMCC, and we are always appreciative for the support. TAMCC, like the GCPI, is geared to service the community. As a college, we cannot accomplish our mission of fostering Grenada's development through education without meaningful partnerships from other community members. GRENLEC has been a leader in this regard.
GRENADAN, energizing our community.
Ha, ha, ha. All right, folks. He is only quasi set up. Take a look. See that gentleman sitting there? Yeah. Boy, I've been trying. He's been with us before, but I've been trying kind of hard to get Mr. Lester Andall in here. And let me start by saying, Lester, I was just congratulating Andre, because I have tried to get the churches, the Conference of Churches, I have tried to get the business community, and I've tried to get the unions. Well, this morning I've got the unions and the chamber to speak out about this issue. And I guess, I ain't patting myself on the back, but it's fair to say that 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, George. Thank you. I'm okay. I'm good.
So you've been sitting in the living room out there smoking a cigar or what?
No, enjoying the view of the city and listening to the rainfall and looking at the harbor.
So you had some rain out there?
Quite a lot. Quite a heavy shower.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, it finally came here. Okay. Listen, Lester, we went a little over time with Andre, so we don't have an awful lot of time, but the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, although I brought you here to get your views on Cellphonegate, okay? Before we do that, I want us to spend a couple of minutes just talking about the Chamber. The Chamber, as I understand it, is an advocacy group?
It is an advocacy organization, yes.
Okay, take it from there. Tell me about the sort of advocacy. Your membership is the business community, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you advocate and not advocate about?
Okay. George, that was a question that we asked ourselves in 2018. And I'm going to share with you what we did and where we are. In 2018, we set out on a retreat, a board retreat. And basically, the objectives were to review our performance and set some strategic direction. In other words, we wanted to be relevant in the present and coming environment. So we did an audit and the traditional SWOT, basically to examine the relevance of the chamber, and we agreed some actions on moving forward. And principally out of action is to engage with members in a series of face-to-face meetings. Because of the activities in 2018, we commenced that engagement in a limited way. We met some businessmen, some CEOs, but in 2019, we went full-fledged into that objective. And we scheduled a series of business meetings. And so far, we have held 7 of those, basically. And we are saying, look, this is the business of business. We can't be speaking for you as an organization, as members who are our members, without understanding what you think, what your views are, and where you want us to go. So this is where we are. So basically, we are not sitting on the traditional thing that this is the chamber, we've been there, we are an old organization, you should basically respect us. We are going out there now to make sure we remain relevant in the changing environments. So we answered questions, based on we are the only private sector organization over 90 years old. We think we command the most respect from our stakeholders. And as one gentleman said to me, he said, there is something unique about the chamber. When there is a crisis in the country, the chamber is the one that is looked to put some sort of peace or to bring some sort of cohesiveness to it.
Well, boy, I sure hope you have a lot of peace, because we need some right now.
And basically, we are represented more or less on every major board and committee. And we have the largest membership in the private sector.
Okay.
So that is the state of play. But we do have some challenges as any organization. One is funding. The chamber has gone from black into red into black. And we're at the point where membership dues no longer sustain 100% of the chamber activities. The chamber more or less are at the point where we are 47% self-sustaining. We hope to make that 100% sooner or later. So basically, the issue is
what kind of membership you have? How big is your membership?
We have members, it's about 130, but very active, I would say probably about 70, and hyperactive. It breaks down into a lot. But George, I'll share something with you. One of the challenges, or the challenge, is basically getting the sector we call the SME.
Small and medium enterprise?
Yes, small and medium sector, the operators in that sector, to be members of the chamber. And there is a fee. Part of the fee is that if they register, as I am quoting it, if we register and become part of the chamber, we become mapped in terms of we now open for scrutiny, for paying taxes. And of course, I understand what those challenges are, but at the same time, citizens have to pay the taxes. But I am, I'm also supporting the view that you can't frighten people in terms of how you do things. You have to do things to make people engage with you. So that is a message we took to the people in the taxation. You really have to rethink the language and the methodology so as to encourage people to pay the tax more than to frighten them away from becoming registered taxpayers. Paying tax is not only about sustaining the chamber in terms of its relationship with government.
No.
It's about the country.
Absolutely.
It's about the country. And we want to encourage people to be compliant. So this is one of the drive that the chamber has ongoing. We can't step away from that. And I should say that we are members of the social partners, and we do get the opportunity to air those concerns with the government and other social partner organizations such as the Union, Council of Churches, etc. It's about responsibility. It's about responsibility more than encouraging an adversarial relationship between the business sector and the government sector.
How are you going about doing that? Because everything in this country today seems to be adversarial, Lester.
George, and in the 2 years I've been at the chamber, I've done a lot of footwork. You need to engage and speak to people. It's a very different approach, Speak to people, not just articulate views that represent me and as to how I think the chamber should work. But even though I have those views, I have to validate whether those views are correct or incorrect based on what the people tell me, So I'm working from that perspective.
And it takes time.
It takes time. But I'm confident that where we are now, we are at the top of the mountain in terms of what we have done and what we have seen, and who is coming to partner with us in terms of delivering on the chamber objective.
All right. Now, we only have about 10 minutes left, I was hoping to have you in the hot seat here for about 45 minutes, but unfortunately, or maybe for you, fortunately, you get off.
If I should say, George, the seat is always hot. It's just the issue of how well prepared you are to sit in it.
Listen, boy, I'm so happy to see you. Listen, what are you hearing from your membership about Cellphonegate?
George, as as a CEO, a former CEO, you know, it's unfortunate when those issues arise in any organization. It's unfortunate. More so, this issue has now become one of what I call journalistic importance. You know, it's on everybody's lip. If they write about it, they speak about it, you know, whatever it is. Now, whatever led to the issue is of concern. Whatever led is of concern. But most importantly, I ask myself, you know, there are 3 or 4 things you got to look at. First, what is this about? You know, why is it happening, and why did it happen? And the corrective actions in terms of, you know, there are some responsibilities and there are some recovery issues that have to be dealt with. Now, the issue of the emotions, you can't help it. I mean, people would express how they feel, you know, who responsible and who not responsible, and that is a natural output. And as I told one of my colleagues, I said, you know, when those issues get into the public domain, you cannot stop.
Right.
You cannot stop the conversations that would emanate around it. But I hope that at the end of the day, some level of sense-making would be applied in terms of, you know, how it should be dealt with. The public has raised some issues, you know, how we should satisfy the public quest for information and handle this thing in a transparent manner.
So you agree with a call for an investigation?
Like I said, if I go in private practice, private business practice, that is how we would do it.
All right. Now, the issue here is the government has indicated that they are doing an investigation. This matter, Lester, involves not just government, but cabinet ministers. How could the government be investigating the government?
Those are parameters, and this is the dialogue. I don't know whether or not the government, what particular course of action, or who would be committed to doing the investigation. But these are issues, these are concerns that in conducting this investigation, that the issue of transparency, you know, has to be handled. And it has to be handled, what I say, very carefully.
Delicately.
Delicately. You know, but I would give the government the opportunity, you know, to, because they are the government, they are the organization.
What do you mean because they are the government? Because you are the government, are you infallible?
No, it's not saying that. But if this had happened in a private sector organization, the organization would do its preliminary investigation.
Don't have a problem with the organization doing its investigation.
And
but
out of those preliminary investigation, they would decide, you know, whether it's something that we need to take further. But all being said, it's important that the issues and the actions are transparent to the public. Yeah, it remains transparent. Most importantly, in terms of how, who, and the credibility of the person that would be investigated. It has to be. It has now become an issue in the public domain. But notwithstanding that, there are other issues that are side issues with it. You know, the whole issue of information and information confidentiality. These are things that, you know, they run parallel. They are not the topical issues for discussion at this moment, but they are issues. They are issues, you know, they would hinge on things like, you know, what kind of information, what other kind of information could be out there that could be sensitive and not protected in terms of people privacy and everything else. You know, these are issues that they are side issues, but they are serious side issues. And all these things on them need to be addressed. Yes, the issue of the quantums of phone bills and so on need to be answered, but also on the parallel side with it is the issue of data, and data security, and people's right to confidentiality and all these things. You know, these are things that are parallel. But like I said, the issue is one in the public domain right now, and there are concerns, and those have to be addressed.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned if you were running your business, it would be done in a certain way. If you were running a business and one of your employees was found to rack up a $70,000 phone bill, you'd be a little bit ticked off. Am I assuming correctly?
You would be ticked off, yes.
Okay. Now, you decide, okay, I'm going to conduct an investigation. But while you conduct that investigation, would that employee still be allowed to work?
George, there are various, and you got to understand, it's not just cause and effect, but it's issue of how it happened, why it happened. If the person is in a position where they would hamper the investigation, most likely, you would ask them to take leave, not leave as disciplinary action, but you'd ask them to take leave to ensure that the integrity of the investigation is not compromised. And this is one of the things you do. Now, that is what I would say on it. I don't know the inner workings of this thing, but that is what I would say on it. In other words, nothing should be left in place that would compromise how this thing is investigated.
And do you believe that as things are, it's compromised?
Well, like I said, I haven't spent much time delving into the nuances of it, you know, in terms of how it is, what has happened, how it has happened. It may well be that the investigation, the people involved in the investigation are satisfied, and probably they can give plausible reasons as to why the investigation will be structured in a particular way. You know, I'm not taking that away from them.
All right, sir. All right. You know, I wish I had the full 45 minutes with you, Lester, but unfortunately I don't. So we're going to have to scoot here. But sad state of things in this country right now. Very, very unfortunate. You know, you had this whole Spice Mass issue. I mean, the afternoon there was this altercation down at the Spice Mass office. I bumped into Anselm Cloud, and he said to me, I mean, you can't do that. He's not talking about the incident at Spice Mass. He's talking about the fact that the lady was told that she can't sell her goods. So that's an issue that's coming to the fore here right now, that maybe the legislation needs to be adjusted. Then we have the Phonegate. And have you found out exactly what's going on with our oil and gas exploration, sir? I know you're a man in the know. Can you update me?
George, unfortunately,
you don't.
I cannot.
But
right. What I can update you on is where we are going.
You're going?
Yeah, where we are going in the chamber. Presently, we are engaged in a capacity building and skills match consultancy that has been funded by the UK Department for International Development. It's called the SKY program. The chamber is partnering, and the consultants and the support are based at the chamber. And our primary concern is employability and employment, you know, skills and quality. This needs to be addressed because there can be work and there can be employment existing, coexisting. In other words, there are work opportunities, but at the same time, serious unemployment exists, simply because there is no match of skills. People cannot do the work that is required. And we see
that's a big problem in this country today.
That is a major problem, and
yeah.
I think it's the beginning of if not the beginning, but it is an implication of the social ills. You have people who come out of school and they are not basically equipped with basic English, math,
Right,
computational abilities.
So do you believe this program you guys are involved in right now is going to have an impact on that?
The discussions we had with the chamber, with the British Chamber representative, and the outcome of actually, this was something quite surprising to us when they chose us as being the partner locally to ensure, because it's a program where the British, the UK Department of International Development has earmarked £9.1 million. It's going to take the Windward Islands and basically the Windward Islands. The program is basically headquartered in St. Vincent. So we expect, and I'm saying this, we expect that chamber members and prospective chamber members pay attention to the skills match, and if and when they are called upon to give comments or suggestions, please engage, because this is critical to employability moving forward. In other words, as I said, you can have opportunities to work, but you cannot work because you're not prepared. And we are noticing that quite a lot in the construction in terms of the quality of work. There's a lot of complaint. And when you look at the standards, best practices that are in place in other countries, in terms of how they license contractors and builders and plumbers and so, electricians, you would see that the emphasis is quite heavily placed on quality. You understand certain standards and you are delivering work according to those standards. You can make any amount of jobs you want, you can make them. But at the end of the day, you could end up making and wasting money if the persons who are going to deliver, they are not at the standard that they can deliver work that meets your budget. Mm-hmm. This is a critical issue.
All right, you seem to be optimistic, though, that the program is going to create an impact. And I would like you, at some point, to come and spell out all the details of this program. We need hope. We need hope, Lester.
I would go beyond that, George. We need hope with action.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
And that's a big problem. There's a lot of talk in this place today.
We need hope with action. And that is where the chamber engagement, first of all, to find out. We don't have the resources to do, but if we show ourselves as credible to our international partners, our partners like the British Chamber, the CARICHAM, and so, we can access resources to deal with those issues that we have identified as critical.
Okay. All right. To wrap it up, I want to share with you, Lester, I want to share with you some comments on Facebook. John Kennison, John's out in Carriacou, he says, the promised investigation is already a see-through. That's one. Floyd Nichols says, transparency is transparency. When you defraud the nation, there is need to be delicate in this matter. Point. Peter Bishop says, nice dancing around the issue, Lester. You win the Grammy. Sean's Julian says, confidentiality? But isn't the business of the government the people's business? These people are making some interesting points here. Jem, the Sheriff Kelly says, good morning, George Grant and the rest of the viewers and the guest. Marcel Belmar says, how come the government of Grenada found the fiscal space to finance them fellas' phone bills? Time alone will tell. Andrea St. Mitch says, aren't taxpayers' dollars involved? Sean's comes in with the last comment. He says, exactly. The hard-working taxpayers the ones that were asked over 5 years ago to make sacrifices for structural reform. Thanks a lot. I'm going to hold you to another visit, but I do appreciate you coming and breaking the silence.
You know, and George, you cannot walk away from the concerns of transparency expressed by the public.
Yeah.
You cannot walk away from it. And
so in other words, right now I see government trying to walk away from it, but you're saying there's going to be fallout.
You can walk away from the issue of transparency, but at the same time, you have to let's not say the government would not be transparent. Let's follow the course
Let them prove that they're not.
Yes. Yes, follow the course of action to determine that. You know, I would not prejudge.
Okay.
You know, I am temperate in judgment. But
you are such a diplomat. One of these days, I'll recommend that you get into politics. Politics needs some people like you. Okay. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate it.
George, you're welcome. And another time, we look to talking a lot about the skills empowerment program and bringing the public up to where it is. We think that this would be one of our milestones in terms of actually getting some action.
Send me some information. You have any information that you could send to me?
We can send you some information.
Okay, I would appreciate that.
I'll get my executive director to share with you.
Kipling says there is so much more to come, just time. Some mouth will have to be padlocked on their deathbed. Okay, Kipling, okay. Thanks a lot, Lester. Pilgrims, I've already gone 6 minutes over time here. Please forgive me, but I'm sure you found it very interesting. So I do appreciate the fact that you have stuck around with me. And just let me take one quick little break here, and then we'll come back and...
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply departments and Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
All right, Pilgrims, my teleprompter just went kaput on me. At least it lasted to the end of the program. So I'm going to be reading today's closing passage from the big monitor over here, if you don't mind. All right? Today's passage comes to you from Psalm 71, verses 20 and 21. Though you have made me see troubles, many and bitter, you will restore my life again. From the depths of the earth, you will again bring me up. You will increase my honor and comfort me once more. Check it out yourself. Psalm 71, verses 20 and 21. And my dear friends, on that note, Georgie Porgy is going to say thank you so much for joining me this morning. Time now to hightail it out of here. I certainly hope that, I don't know what it's like outside, but I certainly hope the showers have whisked themselves away so that you can get out to the beach this afternoon and have a nice time. And please remember to join me tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9 o'clock, right here, 9 to 10, for this week's editions of Good Day Grenada. God bless you, Pilgrim.